sequence primary ignition.
Chewie, get us out of here!
Fire the emergency booster engines!
Be safe enough once we make the jump to hyperspace.
At last, we will review more news on the podcast.
Don't strap yourselves in. I'm going to make a jump to light speed.
Welcome to Star Wars Launchpad, a new kind of podcast experience brought to you by Star Wars Escape Pod. We call this a Flashcast. Using the power of AI, we bring you an immersive experience to explore Star Wars news. Full AI disclosure, some details may not be fully accurate. Either way, we hope you enjoy the experimental deep dive ahead with your AI hosts, Dak and Mia.
Welcome back to Star Wars Launchpad, everyone. I'm Dak, and with me, as always, is Mia. Today, we're time traveling back to 1999 to the very first Star Wars celebration in Denver, Colorado. Buckle up, because this one's a wild ride.
You're telling me this wasn't just some casual fan meetup. This was weeks before episode I premiered, and fans were getting a first taste of the Star Wars universe's revival. Can you imagine the buzz?
I bet the anticipation was through the roof.
Yeah.
So Celebration, I was meant to be a one-time event.
Yeah.
Like a thank you to the fans before the saga took this huge leap forward.
Exactly. Initially, they wanted to hold it in multiple cities simultaneously, which is super ambitious, right? But logistics got in the way, so they chose Denver and went all out to make it spectacular.
Denver makes sense, though. It was home base for the official Star Wars fan club, and we can't forget Dan Manson, the head of the fan club. Yeah. His fingerprints are all over this event, right?
Oh, absolutely. He envisioned Celebration as a creation by fans, for fans. The passion poured into making it a reality is incredible. They wanted to give fans a truly immersive experience, and they really went above and beyond. They even flew a life-size X-Wing replica all the way from California to the wings over the Rockies Air and Space Museum.
Speaking of the venue, wasn't the main convention center booked? That X-Wing at an Air and Space Museum talk about setting the stage? But I've heard stories about the weather. Was it really as disastrous as the rumors suggest?
Oh, it was legendary. A massive rainstorm hit Denver right during Celebration. Mud everywhere leaking tents. Producer Rick McCallum even called it Woodstock for Star Wars fans. But the fans and actors alike really pulled together.
Wait, seriously? So even with the weather trying to sabotage everything, fans were still pumped for Episode A?
Totally. People were excited to see what was coming next. And get this, Anthony Daniels, C-3PO himself, went out in the pouring rain with an umbrella to entertain fans waiting in line, talk about dedication.
Hey.
He became a true hero of Celebration.
That's amazing. It really shows how connected the actors were to the fan base, even back then. Even a downpour couldn't dampen their spirits. Were there any other highlights despite the weather chaos?
Tons. Ahmed Best rapped on stage, and Ray Park showed off his breakdancing skills. It was a wild mix of talent and enthusiasm.
You've got to be kidding. That sounds incredible.
Yeah.
It's clear that even then, Celebration was about more than just the movies. It was about the community and shared experience. Do you think that's what makes these events so special even today?
Definitely. And this first celebration laid the groundwork for so much of what we love about it today. Did you know they even had the very first collecting track organized by Gus Lopez, a prominent Star Wars collector? It was held in an open-sided tent so people waiting in line for other events could still listen in.
Wow, even with the rain and chaos, they were planting the seeds for what would become a core part of Celebration. It's fascinating to see how it all started, but okay, back to this weather situation. Leaky tents aside, the dealer tent must have been buzzing with activity. I bet the energy in there was electric, even with the downpour.
Absolutely. Imagine a space packed with unique and amazing Star Wars collectibles from back in the day. A collector's dream, despite the leaks.
I can only imagine. It was been like stepping into a galaxy far, far away, but with real-life treasures up for grabs. So what else stands out about those early days? What else contributed to the whole Celebration vibe we know and love?
Well, this was also the time when costuming groups like the 501st and Rebel Legions were just starting out. Can you picture those dedicated fans braving the elements in their early costumes, bringing the Star Wars universe to life? They really added an extra layer of magic to Celebration.
It's incredible to think about how much those groups have grown since then. Seeing them at Celebration today is always a highlight. It's a testament to how much dedication and passion there is within the fan base. But speaking of lasting legacies, what happened to that legendary X-Wing after the event?
That's a great question. After the event, it was gifted to the wings over the Rockies Air and Space Museum, where it's still on display. And here's a fun fact. Harrison Ford actually signed it during a fundraiser. Talk about a piece of Star Wars history.
Wow, that's an amazing full circle moment. It seems like everything about Celebration, from the challenges to the triumphs, played a part in shaping its future. What would you say is its most important legacy?
I think it's safe to say that Celebration birthed a tradition, a phenomenon that continues to this day.
Yeah.
It showed the world that Star Wars is more than just movies. It's a community built on shared passion, creativity, and love for this incredible universe. That, I believe, is the true legacy of Celebration.
Beautifully said. You know what? We're actually going to be talking about the newest Celebration and Celebration Japan 2025 in a bit. It's coming up in just a few months. Can't wait to dive into that.
Me too. We'll be discussing the incredible guest lineup they've announced. We've got Hayden Christensen, Rosario Dawson, and even Ahmed Best returning to the stage. You won't want to miss it.
I'm already glued to my seat. So before we jump into Celebration Japan 2025, let's take a quick break and then we'll come back to unpack even more from that legendary first celebration in Denver.
It's incredible to think how much Celebration has evolved. From those humble beginnings in Denver, what started as a relatively small gathering has exploded into a global phenomenon. Celebration Japan is shaping up to be massive, with elaborate sets, huge crowds, and a star-studded guest list.
I'm already geeking out just thinking about it. And speaking of stars, they've really pulled out all the stops with the guest list for this year's event. Hayden Christensen, who played Anakin Skywalker, is going to be there.
Yeah.
Can you imagine the reception he'll get, especially after the success of the Obi-Wan Kenobi series?
Oh, it's going to be electric. Fans have been hoping for his return to Celebration for years, and to see him back, especially after Obi-Wan Kenobi brought him back into the spotlight, it's going to be a truly special moment. And he's not the only big name they've snagged. Rosario Dawson, who brought Ahsoka Tano to life in The Mandalorian, will also be there.
Wow, that's huge. She's become such a beloved character, and her recent series, Ahsoka, has been a massive hit. The energy when she takes the stage is going to be off the charts. But it's not all about the new generation. They're also bringing back some familiar faces from the prequels and animated series.
Exactly. Ahmed Best, the voice and motion capture actor behind Jar Jar Binks, is making an appearance. It's amazing to see how he's embraced his place in Star Wars history, even having some fun with the Darth Jar Jar meme. And Daniel Logan, who played young Boba Fett in Attack of the Clones, will also be at Celebration Japan. It's fascinating how his character has seen such a resurgence in popularity thanks to shows like The Mandalorian and The Book of Boba Fett.
It really goes to show the staying power of these characters and stories. And of course, no celebration would be complete without the legend himself, Anthony Daniels. He's the only actor to have appeared in all 11 Star Wars films. He's practically royalty in the Star Wars universe.
Yes, Star Wars. It just wouldn't be the same without him. And alongside these iconic actors, they've also invited some of the brilliant minds behind the scenes. Doug Chiang, the senior vice president and executive design director at Lucasfilm, is attending. He's been involved in so many incredible projects, from the prequels to The Mandalorian and the upcoming Skeleton Crew. His insights into the design process are always fascinating.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And for all the animation fans out there, Ashley Eckstein, the voice of Ahsoka Tano in the Clone Wars and Tales of the Jedi, will also be there.
Mm-hmm.
She's been such an incredible advocate for the character and for female fans within the Star Wars community. It's fantastic to see her continue to be such a prominent voice.
She's an inspiration for sure. And here's a great piece of news for collectors. They've partnered with Official Pix again as their autograph provider for the show. Imagine getting your favorite Star Wars memorabilia signed by these incredible guests.
The lines are going to be insane. It's going to be a collector's paradise. So as we wrap up our look at Celebration Japan 2025, what are you personally most excited about? What are you hoping to experience at the event?
You know, I'm really intrigued by the Andor panel they've announced. Diego Luna, who plays Cassian Andor, will be there, and they're actually premiering the second season of the series just days after Celebration Japan wraps up. Such a huge fan of the show, and I'm eager to see what they have in store for us in the next chapter of Cassian's journey.
All right, there with you. Andor has been such a refreshing addition to the Star Wars universe, and it'll be awesome to see Diego Luna back on the Celebration stage. But beyond the panels and guests, I'm always excited for the unexpected. Every celebration has those surprise moments, whether it's a sneak peek at an upcoming project, a surprise guest appearance, or just a moment of shared fan magic.
Absolutely. That's the beauty of Celebration. It's unpredictable, and it always leaves you with lasting memories. And it's mind-blowing to think that this global phenomenon all started with that one rainy, muddy weekend in Denver back in 1999, Celebration. It might not have been perfect, but it paved the way for something truly extraordinary.
You said it. It's a testament to the power of fandom, the creativity of the Star Wars community, and the enduring legacy of this saga. And speaking of legacies, we have to talk about that legendary dealer tent from Celebration. It was a haven for Star Wars collectibles, from vintage action figures to rare promotional items. Even with the leaks and water damage from that epic rainstorm, It became a symbol of the passion and dedication of those early fans.
It's fascinating to think about those early collectors scouring those muddy aisles for hidden treasures. It was a glimpse into the history of Star Wars fandom before online auctions and dedicated conventions. Those early collectors were pioneers, driven purely by their love for these objects, these tangible connections to the Star Wars universe.
It really emphasizes how these items represent more than just objects. They're pieces of history, a reflection of our shared cultural heritage. Each one tells a story, holds memories, and connects us to the generations of fans who came before us. It's inspiring to see how that passion for collecting has only grown stronger over the years.
It's a reminder that Star Wars isn't just entertainment. It's a cultural touchstone, a wellspring of inspiration and creativity that resonates with millions worldwide. And that connection is deeply felt by those who choose to embody the spirit of Star Wars through costuming.
Absolutely. And we can't talk about Celebration without mentioning the impact of costuming groups like the 501st and Rebel Legions. They were just starting out at Celebration, but their presence brought a whole new level of authenticity and immersion to the event. Imagine being surrounded by these dedicated fans, braving the elements in their meticulously crafted costumes, bringing the Star Wars universe to life.
It's like stepping onto the set of a Star Wars film. Their dedication to detail and accuracy is incredible. And to see how they've grown and evolved over the years is truly inspiring. They've become an integral part of the Celebration experience, and their passion is contagious.
It goes beyond simply dressing up. It's about embodying the spirit of Star Wars, bringing those beloved characters to life, and sharing that experience with fellow fans. It's a testament to the power of community and the shared love that unites Star Wars fans across the globe.
And speaking of community, we can't forget the role that Steve Sansweet played in making Celebration a reality. As the head of fan relations at Lucasfilm at the time, he was the driving force behind bringing together all the different elements that made the event so memorable. He understood the importance of connecting with the fans, of creating an experience that would truly celebrate their love for this incredible saga.
He was a true champion for the fans. And did you hear about the story of him shutting off his walkie-talkie during the event? Apparently he was getting bombarded with messages about all the things that were going wrong. But he chose to focus on enjoying the moment, on connecting with the fans, and ensuring everyone had a good time.
That's so typical of Steve Sansweet. He always put the fans first. And his dedication to the Star Wars community is evident in everything he's done, including the creation of Rancho Obi-Wan, his incredible museum dedicated to all things Star Wars. It's a testament to his lifelong passion.
It's inspiring to see how one person's love for Star Wars can have such a ripple effect, inspiring countless others. It's a reminder that we all have the power to make a difference, to share our passions, and to contribute to something bigger than ourselves. But speaking of Celebration, we haven't touched on a significant event that occurred just weeks before the Columbine High School tragedy. It had a profound impact on the Denver community and cast a shadow over everything.
It's true. It was a dark time for Denver, and there were serious discussions about canceling Celebration altogether. It was a difficult decision, trying to find a balance between the need for healing and support with the desire to celebrate something as joyful as Star Wars.
I can only imagine the weight of that decision. Did they ever talk about why they ultimately chose to move forward with Celebration?
Yes, Dan Madsen, the head of the official Star Wars fan club, shared that he felt Denver needed Celebration. More than ever. He believed it could offer a much-needed sense of hope and escapism during such a difficult time. And thankfully, Lucasfilm agreed.
It's powerful to see how Star Wars, even in the face of tragedy, can be a source of unity and light. Did they do anything specific at the event to acknowledge what happened?
They did. They set up donation boxes at Celebration and ended up raising around $30,000 for the families of the victims. It was a beautiful testament to the generosity and compassion of the Star Wars community.
That's incredible. It really highlights how Star Wars is more than just a franchise. It's a community, a family that comes together to support each other, especially during times of need. It's moments like these that showcase the true heart of the fandom.
Absolutely. And as we reflect on this first Celebration, it's incredible to see how much has changed in the fandom and the Star Wars universe itself. We've seen exponential growth, technological advancements, and stories expanding in ways we couldn't have imagined back then.
It's true. But through all the changes, the one constant has been the passion and dedication of the fans. They are the heart and soul of Star Wars, the artists, writers, cosplayers, and enthusiasts who come together to celebrate this incredible saga.
And that's what Celebration is all about. Bringing those fans together, giving them a platform to connect, share their love for Star Wars, and create memories that will last a lifetime.
Well said. As we move on to our final thoughts on Celebration and look ahead to Celebration Japan 2025, let's take a quick break to gather our thoughts. It's amazing to think about it all starting in that muddy field in Denver, with those fans braving the elements. It really speaks to their dedication.
Yeah, for sure. It really set the stage for what we see today. It's a testament to Star Wars and how it brings people together.
It really is. And speaking of bringing people together, we've got Celebration Japan 2025 coming up. They've got a great lineup this year.
They do. I'm really excited about it. Hayden Christensen, Rosario Dawson, even Ahmed Best is coming back.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how they weave the past, present, and future of Star Wars all together in this one event.
Definitely. I'm curious to see how they'll approach the prequels now.
Yeah.
With Hayden Christensen and Ahmed Best attending.
Me too. Yeah, they've become much more popular recently, especially with the younger fans who grew up with those movies.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how they address that new perspective and tie those stories into the whole celebration.
For sure. I'm also curious to see how they handle the growing popularity of the animated series and all the streaming shows.
Oh, yeah, of course. Clone Wars, Rebels, Mandalorian, Ahsoka. They've brought so many new fans to the Star Wars universe.
They really have.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great to see Celebration embracing all these different parts of the Star Wars universe. It's more than just the movies now.
Right, and I think that reflects how fandom has changed. It's so much more diverse and connected.
Absolutely. So as we wrap up our look back at Celebration, and ahead of Celebration Japan 2025, what are your final thoughts?
I think the biggest thing to remember is that Celebration is more than just an event. It's about the community, the passion. It's about celebrating this amazing universe we all love.
So well said.
And
it's incredible how it's grown from that one rainy weekend in Denver. It's a testament to Dan Madsen and all those fans who made it happen.
Absolutely. As we look to the future of Celebration, I hope it continues to grow and change.
Yeah.
Embracing all the new stories and fans.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
Well, this has been a fantastic trip down memory lane. It's been great looking back at the very first Star Wars Celebration.
I agree. And as we look forward to Celebration Japan 2025, may the Force be with you.
And also with you.
I'm glad you're here to tell us these things.
This AI experimental show we call a Flashcast has been brought to you by the podcast Star Wars Escape Pod. With AI being harnessed in all things across the galaxy, this is just a fun way we've used it to bring some Star Wars joy, news, and headlines to you ad-free as always. Consider subscribing to this show for more. Follow our main podcast with humanoids only over at Star Wars Escape Pod. We're currently found on YouTube, X, and Blue Sky using the handle at SW Escape Podcast. Check the description for relevant links and the sources for your news this week. Consider dropping a kind review for the show, reviewing any important facts for yourself, and sharing this with a friend. We hope you enjoyed the episode. This is Star Wars Launchpad, signing off. May the Force be with you.